Hi, I'm Kevin Fenstermacher.
I'm Bob McLean.
I'm Jim McNamara.
I'm Greg Jamborisi.
We are members of the Board of Directors for BlueClaws Charities, the official 501c3 of the Jersey Shore BlueClaws.
Thank you for tuning in for tonight's virtual hot stove event and for your continued support of BlueClaws Charities.
Each year, BlueClaws Charities supports community organizations with grants so they can continue their amazing work here at the Jersey Shore.
Support for these grants comes from fans like you through events like this one, Jersey auctions and BlueClaws games, our in-park 50-50 raffle, and other fundraising initiatives throughout the year.
Throughout the show, we'll have links at which you can bid on some fantastic auction items. Your support is greatly appreciated.
We also encourage you to consider our BlueClaws Charities Luxury Suite raffle, through which 7 winners will win a share of a 2021 BlueClaws Luxury Suite.
Tickets are just $100 and only 300 are sold. Our drawing is set for April 5th. For more information, go to BlueClaws.com.
Thanks so much for tuning in and enjoy the show.
And lastly, we'll see you on May 4th for opening night at the Jersey Shore.
This is Art Mayton of Shoretown Baseball, and welcome to our virtual hot stove. We know that you all missed coming to BlueClaws games last year, and we certainly missed seeing all of you. This year is certainly going to be special in many ways. We'll be welcoming back everybody on May 4th. We'll be introducing and launching the Jersey Shore BlueClaws. We'll be playing our first game at the High A classification level. And of course, we'll be celebrating 20 great seasons of BlueClaws baseball with you, our great fans. So enjoy tonight. Can't wait to see you. See you at the ballpark. Go BlueClaws.
Let's check out some of tonight's auction items. From the Phillies, we have an Andrew McCutchen signed bat, a Reese Hoskins signed ball, a Bryce Harper signed ball, and a Joe Girardi signed cap. Bidding is now open at the link you see here with this video or online at blueclaws.com/charities.
Our first guest tonight at this BlueClaws Charities virtual hot stove event is the Director of Player Development for the Phillies. It's Josh Bonifay. He joins us from Clearwater. Josh, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So about a year ago, everything changed, as we know. What was that year like for you guys? Because you're trying to develop these players. Now you have to develop them without them playing. How did you guys stay in touch with everybody? What was that last year like?
Well, first, when we got the call that the season basically was going to be put on hold, the staff here in Clearwater did an amazing job getting all the players home safely, and getting our players, back to their loved ones during a trying time. But as soon as they got back, we as a development department got together, put plans in place to, continue to talk to our players, continue to challenge them with staying in shape, continuing to challenge them and making development goals. We prioritize development goals, and we met with them one-on-one through calls. We also met in groups through Zoom calls. We required staff to get in touch with our players 3 times a week from an ATC, strength and conditioning, and from our coordinators and coaches, just to monitor them and make sure that they're doing well. First, it was about health and taking care of their families, and then second, it was about developing them as players continually without a season. So it was definitely a challenge, but our staff rose to the occasion. There was a lot of video work done. There was a lot of one-on-one player plan meetings, and there was a lot of, developing programs as a staff and continuing to, update our minor league system and our processes and understand what we could do better. So I think overall the staff did a tremendous job in growing as a unit, spending time together and spending a lot of time on our players. So as much as, it was quote unquote like a lost season for development, I felt like our staff and our players did an amazing job staying in communication, staying in touch, and developing themselves extremely well, and making sure that our pitchers and our hitters got innings progressions and continued to develop their swing. So very, very positive off season when you're not playing baseball. And we felt like, we made some progress.
How many of your guys played winter ball?
Well, we had, 12, 13. I think we had 13, 14 players in Australia. And, we sent 9 players from the States over, and then we had players in Australia that were playing. And then in the we had a couple in Mexico. We had some in the Dominican. So overall, I think it was about 22 players, I think, that was played winter ball.
Not bad. That's not bad. So one of the new things that broke over the last few months and was recently kind of publicized, the new layout structure for minor league baseball. Blue Claws are going to move up a level. Obviously, they did a lot of condensing of the leagues. I think, if my math works, the Blue Claws are going to do about 2,600 miles worth of travel this year, compared to 14,000 from what would have been in 2020. Now, granted, there are 6-game series in a little, so it's not quite apples to apples, but you get the point. How does that benefit the Phillies, and how does that benefit all these other organizations? Besides less travel, how are the players benefit?
I think it really benefits the players more than anything. It's about taking care of their bodies. It's about recovery. It's about nutrition. It's about spending more time like coaching and being in certain places where you have more time to coach than being on a bus and traveling overnight. And it allows your players to be in a bed. It allows your players, to get comfortable. It allows them, that we can do more, education. We can do a lot of those types of things. We can spend more time in the weight room. I think it really, really helps the players. It helps them recover. It helps them understand that they're going to be in a place for a certain period of time. It is not unpack, and then you play a night game, and then you play 11 a.m. game, and then you pack up again. I think that had its benefits to help players understand, the grind and understand what the game is about. You have to post and you have to get ready to play every day. But I think Major League Baseball did a tremendous job putting together a schedule, giving players time off, allowing them to recover, and then allowing them to play baseball in a very good environment. And it's very good for the staff, because we're all going to be in places. All of our affiliates are very close, so we're going to be in places where we can get to those guys a lot easier. So I think it helps in both ways. It helps with staff travel. It helps with our staff being there and spending more time with players, but players ultimately get the benefit without being, overworked, I guess. It's just making sure that they're taken care of.
Some organizations had pretty extensive changes to their affiliations. You guys didn't. You just flipped 2 teams. Blue Claws move up a level. Clearwater goes back 1. Why the change? And then what do Blue Claws fans get to expect now from moving 1 level up at High A here?
Yeah, the change happens through, it happened through Major League Baseball. They wanted to see the Clearwater and some of these places be at the lower levels. And I think some of the reason why that is like, a lot of complexes are in these certain areas, and it allows for players to transfer easily to, playing our complex 1 and 2 teams are here, so they could move without having a huge travel and adjustment for them. But the type of competition you're going to see, it'll go up some. The consistency of play will go up some in Jersey Shore. And it typically, some of those players are they've played baseball, professional baseball, a little longer, so you'll see probably not as many mistakes, but there's still going to be mistakes that are being made because it's still development. But it's going to be a little more consistent baseball at a higher level, and the game is faster. But I think Jersey Shore is a phenomenal place to play baseball. Our relationship there has always been very, very strong. The facility's outstanding. It allows for outstanding development with the cages, the clubhouse, the access, to getting the players on the field. And we're very excited about continuing our relationship.
The Phillies were going to send Chris Adamson here in 2020 to manage. That never happened. He's back in 2021 from Australia. This will be his second year, I guess, but first baseball season with the Phillies. What can you tell us about him and what attracted you guys to bring him into the fold?
Work ethic, outstanding work ethic, open-mindedness, willing to hold players accountability, willing to establish phenomenal relationships with players. Like, he really gets to know the players, know what they can and can't do. He is not afraid to pat them on the tail and say, good job. He's also not afraid to make sure that when times are tough, he's there as a father figure, but also he knows when he needs to push. He's an excellent X&O coach, and he did an outstanding job in Australia this year with our players. We had quite a few down there on his squad, but he's just a really good baseball man. He's got a lot of knowledge. He loves the players. He's not afraid to pass the knowledge along. He's very organized and detail oriented, and he'll spend time developing the players to its fullest. So we're very, very excited about him and the rest of the staff that we've put together there.
Did you guys come into touch with him for the first time when you had sent players out there and that played for his team in Adelaide, or was there some other connection?
No, that's the first time that we had come in contact with him. The year before, and we really enjoyed him. Like, the kids really looked up to him. They really liked playing for him, and his work ethic was outstanding. So, we talked to some of our kids, the knowledge that he was passing along, the information. There's certain timing of delivery of information, and when you're playing baseball, that a manager needs to have, and he was excellent at it. So, that was the first time we'd had experience with him. And then, we continued to talk to him through that off season. And luckily we were able to get him on board.
Matt Hockenberry's back. He's the pitching coach. He was here as a player a couple of years ago. I think that was before you were with the Phillies, but then he's moved onto the coaching side and said a pretty quick move up the ladder. What have you been impressed about with Matt?
Matt is very energetic. He's very passionate. His desire to learn and develop and grow is through the roof. He continues to dive into, some of the technologies that we brought on board. But he understands being on the mound. He understands competition. He understands the desire. He understands, the way to push players to get the ball over the plate, execute pitches, but also help their arsenal during side days. He's very passionate about development, and he's very passionate about players. And he's an outstanding coach. And he works day and night, and he's really grown over the last couple of years.
You guys are going to have a pretty unenviable task, I imagine, in a few weeks or 2 months when you try to set rosters with guys that haven't played in a year in many cases. I know you've probably thought about it. How do you plan to balance the player needs to go to this level for his age and at his ability, but at the same time, he might need these reps. Can we skip a level? Can a guy repeat a level 2 years later? All these, there's a million factors here now that you guys are going to have to deal with. What are your early thoughts before spring training begins on how you plan to do that?
Yeah, well, you never want to push a player to a level that you don't think he can handle, because I think that stunts development more than anything. So what we started out with in the conversation, I would say that has really helped us stay in touch with our players is the calls, is the videos requests that we get back and forth from the players. And, we've monitored their workload. We've put in throwing programs. We've done, video reviews with the players when they send it in. So we're developing the players as though they had a season when they really didn't have a season. And you'll never be able to replace competition. You'll never be able to replace games. But we also are going to take our time here in spring training, and we're going to evaluate where they are, what they look like. We're not going to make any rash decisions about age just because we want to move a player up or something like that. The players are going to show us that they're capable of performing at a certain level, and we'll make decisions through that. But it is terrible because a lot of kids, they lost a year. But we as an organization think every one of our players is a big league prospect, and we want to give them that time in order to show us, what they've done during the hiatus and COVID, and what we can continue to do to develop them. So there won't be any rash decisions. We will meet as groups, and we will do the best to put a solid plan in place that we think players can contribute, compete, and develop at a certain level.
Yeah, that'll be a challenge for sure for you guys. Certainly wish you the best in that. You've been here for 3-4 years now. Give us the 30,000-foot state of the system.
I think the state of the system is in a good place. You can look at all publications and they can tell you that we're this or we're that, but we feel very confident about our young players. We feel very confident about our scouting department and bringing in players, and our international staff has done a phenomenal job getting in players. And I think, we're just looking forward for the opportunity for our players to go out and play and show what they're capable of. But our staff continues to do an amazing job. Our coaches continue to push players forward, and we feel very confident about our players, our prospects, and we're just looking forward to the opportunity to get out and compete.
I'm going to give you quick hitters on 3 guys. 2 played for the BlueClaws in 19. One is Rafael Marchand. Really cool story. Started with Lakewood, moved to Clearwater and in 19. And then 2020, by September, he's in the big leagues. I know the coaches all loved him when he was here. What are you most impressed about with Rafael?
Very mature. His ability to call a game, outstanding receiver, excellent catch and throw, release, very accurate arm, commands the pitching staff, develops relationships. That communication, pitcher catcher communication, is outstanding. And he's in a really good place. He looks very physical. His ability to swing the bat continues to improve. He has outstanding bat to ball skills and just a human. Like, that's, as a person, we're very high on him. And, when you have young players who lead, that are some of your best players, you're going to be in a good spot.
Francisco Morales, big, tall right-hander, nasty slider. Matt, whenever we talked to Matt about the slider, you could see his eyes widen. He loves his face. I think Matt Hockenberry likes talking about Francisco Morales' slider than anything else in the world. He had a good year with BlueClaws 2 years ago. How did he progress last summer, and what limited opportunities he may have had?
Yeah, Francisco's in a great place. He looks really good in camp. We had an issue getting him into just with visa things going on, but he threw a bullpen the other day. His arm is very live. He's an intimidating presence on the mound. He is a very big guy, but he throws a fastball very hard. The slider is filthy. It punches a lot of tickets. And what he's done as a player, and his growth to mature, and his growth, implementing a changeup, we're very excited about his arsenal right now, and looking forward to watching him compete this year. But this kid's the sky's the limit.
You added a few guys to the system last year. Small amount of draft picks. They shortened the draft, and then you signed a few guys. The headliner was Mick Abel, 15th overall pick, high school pitcher from Oregon, 19 years old now. What have you seen from him in the 9 months that he's been a Philly? He's just a tremendous person. Like, he works extremely hard, very diligent in his work, very diligent in his preparation. His preparation is outstanding. The way he works in the weight room, which leads into his throwing program, which leads, into his mound work and his sides. And then just to see him come into Florida Instructional League, compete. He was pretty dominant. But his growth, his maturity is off the charts. When you talk to him, he's a little more wise than you would think for his age. And we're very excited to watch him grow this season. Gosh, thank you so much. Whether we see you May 4th or not, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure we'll see you sometime shortly thereafter. Best of luck this spring, and hopefully we'll see you at the ballpark here pretty soon.
Yeah, Greg, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you guys there very soon. So tell the guys hello for me, please.
Absolutely, we'll do.
BlueClaws Charities is proud to support these incredible community partner organizations through an end-of-year grant program. Money raised from events like this contribute to those grants, and all money goes directly to programs here at the Jersey Shore. Your support is greatly appreciated. For more information on these amazing local organizations, please visit blueclaws.com/charities. Once again, that's blueclaws.com/charities.
Our next guest tonight is Tom McCarthy. He's a Brick native and the television voice of the Phillies. Tom, welcome. How are you?
Greg, I'm doing great, buddy. How you doing? All right?
Yeah, doing just fine here. Getting ready hopefully for some baseball this summer. Before we get to the Philly stuff, I know you grew up around here in Brick, went to Brick Memorial. When when you were growing up around here, did you ever think that the Phillies would have an affiliate kind of right around the corner from where you grew up?
No, there was talk when I was at Brick Memorial, Greg, that and even the few years after, it was probably maybe a 10-year span. I think I was a junior in high school when I first heard it, that Jackson was going to house a minor league team. And it was because of Great Adventure that they felt like they could have the surplus of people kind of go in and out. But that's probably the closest that anybody ever would have gotten to our area for minor league baseball. It obviously fell through. It was close when I was in college. It was close, to getting done. And then something happened. I don't know what happened, but something happened where it fell through. And then obviously Trenton came, and that sort of changed everything a little bit as far as the dynamics go, to show that things could work in an area in New Jersey. So that was the only time that I had seen that there was any kind of conversation about it.
And your father worked here as an usher for 15, 16 years.
Yeah, he was. He loved it. It's funny because when the BlueClaws first came around and Jeff Brown was the general manager, there was some thought that I was going to be the general manager of the team, because I was sort of deciding whether I wanted to broadcast or not broadcast. And, obviously Jeff turned out to be the perfect choice for the first GM, because he was so incredible with what he did. But my dad kept telling me that when they were, we were kind of formulating the plans for the BlueClaws, he goes, I'm going to run the store. I want to run the store. And I said, Dad, to get somebody else that has minor league experience and retail. He goes, well, we owned a store for a long time up in Jersey City. I said, I realize that, but it's a little different. He said, well, I'm going to work there. And I said, great, that'd be awesome. And he loved it. He loved every minute of it. He loved the interaction with the fans. He loved the interaction with the front office. It gave him a sort of a sense of importance again, because he had a pretty, I don't want to say stressful job when he worked at AT&T, but it was a job where, he was involved in a lot of big things. And then he worked in Paul Kimball Hospital as the head of security for a few years too. So this kind of gave him a little bit of purpose that he looked forward to. So it's pretty cool to think about his years there, because I know it meant the world to him to be able to be out there on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, and he was great. I knew him for a couple of years. Just a fantastic guy. We miss him. We miss him very much. So let's go back 2020. The season starts mid to late July. How is that like for you guys? You and your TV guys, the radio team. Calling these games and trying to stay on top of everything as best you can without the daily access that you would have in a normal, in a normal season.
Well, we did a lot of this, sort of Zoom calls with everybody, whether it be Joe or a player from here and there, but also we used our phones a lot to text message to kind of get some information from the players leading up to it. It was different. It's not something that I would like to do on a yearly basis, but obviously the fact that we got games on and there were games, that to me was huge. That was the biggest thing. So you kind of get used to it. At this point, I've done so many games. I've done about 100 games now. Probably a little less than that on, where I'm not at the facility. You kind of get used to it, just like everything else. We've all learned, none of us had ever heard of Zoom, except for the TV show that used to be on PBS before you were even born, Greg. But none of us ever heard of Zoom before. And I think we all have now become experts in our own way in it. So, you just adapt more than anything else. And you just try to make it as normal as possible. If you make it a big deal, then it becomes a big deal. So you just kind of roll with it. I just enjoyed the fact that there were games to be broadcast.
Yeah, well, for sure. Dave Dombrowski comes in as the president of baseball operations. I know you've done games for years. He's been around for a while. Had you had any previous interaction, and what have you picked up from him? Obviously, before spring training here.
Well, I've always been a huge fan of Dave's. I've known him for a long time. Whether it be when I was in the minor leagues as a broadcaster or when it was just my initial years in the big leagues. From time to time, I would try to have him on the pregame show for the Phillies. Would probably do the same, for the Mets. In fact, I remember in 2006 when I was doing the Mets games, when we were on the verge, we thought of going to the World Series. It was the Tigers that we would have faced. And Dave obviously was the president and general manager of the Tigers. So there was some initial interaction with him after they had won. They had won before the Cardinals had beaten the Mets in that playoff in the National League Championship Series. So I've known him for a long time, always, would stop and talk. It didn't matter where he was or what he was doing. I think a bright guy. I think he's the right balance, Greg. I think that's the biggest thing is he's got some balance. He's using the analytics like you would want him to, but he's also using the scouting department a little bit as well, a little bit more. And I think that's going to be to our betterment as an organization. There's got to be balance. I think in anything we do life-wise, there's got to be balance. And I think in baseball, there has to be balance. And I think that's what he's bringing. He's been great. We've done a bunch of Zooms together. We've got another one coming up in the next several days, and looking forward to it, just having him around.
Talk about a couple of players here. The second to last game Spencer Howard ever pitched for the BlueClaws, he threw a no-hitter in the playoffs in 2018. And then
was that night he threw a 9-inning no-hitter?
9-inning no-hitter.
Wow.
1-0 game. 1-0 game. And then he pitched the next week. That was the first round. And then in the championship series, 7 days later, he pitched and he took I want to say it was like 4 innings. He threw a lot of pitches. He wasn't going to get all the way through it.
Right.
But he's 13 straight innings, and then it didn't work out. And
he was doing a little Johnny Vandermeer. He was doing a little Johnny Vandermeer.
Yeah. The one game though was just unbelievable. It's one of those games like you knew right away he had his best stuff. You didn't know how long they would let him go. I think he if I remember, he threw something like 25 pitches between the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings. So he got to pitch the 9th, but there was a chance in like the 6th, 7th inning. You're not thinking he's going to get to pitch the 9th inning. Plus a 1-0 game. But yeah, he was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I mean, I'm excited for his future. I don't know what his role will be this year, if it's going to be as the 4th or 5th starter, or if he's going to be sort of a swing guy from the minor leagues. I think a lot of it depends on Matt Moore and Chase Anderson, 2 guys the Phillies only signed over the last month or so, and what they think of him. And even Vince Velasquez, and where he'll wind up going as far as the bullpen goes or the rotation goes. It's nice to have insurance policies at this point because we saw that last year. But I love Spencer. I think he's got a chance to be really good. And as long as he stays healthy and, keeps progressing, then I think the Phillies have a pretty good one there.
We're going to talk to Scott Kingery a little bit later on. How do you think he's developed over the years, and do you think kind of he'll settle into one position? Where do you see him heading into 2021?
Boy, that's a good question. Somebody asked me the other day with Segura and Didi Gregorius, Alec Boehm playing third, where does Scott fit in? I think there's a chance he fits in even in center field. Now, I could be wrong about that. He could turn out to be a super utility guy. I don't know if he's going to settle into one particular position, Greg, this year. And it's not anything, it's not a negative. It's a positive because he is pretty good at a number of places. He can obviously play second base, as we all know, but I think he's a very athletic center fielder. And I think a lot of it is, how does Roman Quinn stay healthy and Adam Hazley progress? Do they sort of do a platoon in that spot? But I also think that Scott can play shortstop and play third base too. So I think they need him in a lot of ways. I don't know if he'll settle into one spot, but if they can get Scott Kingery from 2 years ago to be in this lineup every day and be productive, then they got a really good bat and obviously a very athletic player too.
Blue Claws fans didn't get to see Alec Boehm that much, less than a month, but I think we were all a little surprised that we got to see him at all. And then we saw, to be honest, and then we saw what kind of quick impact he made with the Phillies. What were your impressions of him? Did you guys expect such a quick impact with the bat?
No, I didn't. And it was only because he's a rookie, and you figure there's a little time for adjustment. I thought what was great about him is that we had heard so much about his power, but we didn't really see that kind of power. But that's a good thing because we saw everything else. We saw his ability to go to the other way with the bat. He was not overmatched at all. I know he's got to tighten up his defense, but I actually thought he played, except for that Braves game last year. There was one game where at the Braves he made 2 errors, probably could have been charged with a third. But other than that, I thought he made almost every other play. So that to me was really enticing. I'm excited. I'm excited about the opportunity to see what he does, in the coming years. I think the biggest thing is if you look at what he did when he came up, he was feeling his way through the first couple weeks, but then he just took off and he was facing teams multiple times. So they'd make adjustments, but then he would make adjustments too. So I thought that was huge. And I'm expecting even bigger things this year.
And then last player, he didn't play for the Blue Claws. He played against them when he was with Greensboro, but he's the most important move the Phillies made all offseason was re-signing JT Realmuto. You had seen him obviously with Miami for a few years before he came to Philly 2 years ago. What did you learn about him? And, obviously we know how important a signing it was. How did he compare when you saw him live every day, to what you had seen a few times a year with the Marlins?
Well, I think the thing that struck me and still does is that he is way better defensively than I ever thought. Now, I thought he was a decent defensive catcher. I really did. But he's one of the best I've seen. Carlos Ruiz was unbelievable behind the plate. And JT is, it's remarkable how good he is behind the plate and how quick his release is, throwing the baseball, all those things. So did I think it was a necessity to get him? Yes, the way the team was structured, to re-sign him, the way the team is structured. And I think athletically, if let's say in 4 years, you say he can't catch anymore at the same level he did when he first got there, he's athletic enough that you can put him somewhere else, I think anyway. And I do think that the DH will be in the National League full time. So I think there's a little bit of an ability to adjust there too. But I thought I was very excited to hear that they signed him. When the Mets signed James McCann, then I really felt like there was a good chance the Phillies would bring him back.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, big picture, do you think, the bullpen had their issues last year, and there's probably nothing more demoralizing for a team on a day-to-day basis than having a tough bullpen. That seems to be addressed at least a little bit. Do you think this team's ready to take the next step? Obviously, they're in a very, very difficult division.
Yeah, it's a tough division. I think it's the best division in the National League. I was looking at some of the PECOTA ratings as far as strength of schedule goes, and I saw the Cubs were picked to finish second in the National League Central, even with all of the changes that they've had. And I kept thinking, man, if you were a National League East team in the middle toward the bottom, where would you be picked to finish if you were in the Central? Obviously, the Dodgers and the Padres are the creme de la creme in the National League West. I still think the Phillies have an uphill battle because of the Braves. I think they're really good. The Mets obviously have gotten better. Their pitching staff is excellent. The pitching staff for the Nationals, a year older, no doubt, but still I think really good. Marlins, were young and hungry last year. Can they do it for 162 games or 154 games, depending on what Major League Baseball plays? So I think right now the Phillies conservatively are the third best team in the division, but I do think there's that ability to slide up, and it all depends. You alluded to the bullpen. I think it all depends on the bullpen and the starting pitching, quite frankly, going into the season.
Tom, I know you don't get too many days off from when the opening day hits, but maybe we'll get you out to a ball game here at the Jersey Shore this summer or next at some point here pretty soon. Thank you so much for a few minutes, and best of luck this season.
All right, Greg. Thank you. You too. And I love the backdrop. I would love to see blue skies and sandy beaches in everybody's future.
The backdrop is nice. There's actually snow on the field behind me, but besides that, it's pretty good. Thanks, Tom. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
Be sure to check out our BlueClaws Charities Luxury Suite raffle. We have 300 tickets available, and 7 winners each earn a 10-game share of a 2021 BlueClaws Luxury Suite. The raffle drawing is April 5th, and you can get your tickets now at BlueClaws.com/charities. It's now time to meet another BlueClaws Charities community partner, JF Party Dragon.
Welcome back to the BlueClaws Charities virtual hot stove event. We wanted to take a moment and recognize one of the many community partner organizations that benefit when you support BlueClaws Charities, including tonight, by participating in our auction items. And we're joined by Thomas Nuara. He's with JF Party Dragon, one of our many outstanding community partners. Thomas, welcome. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks for having me.
First, tell us a little bit about JF Party Dragon.
So JF Party Dragon is a local charity to Ocean County, New Jersey. We are an award-winning charity from the Asbury Park Press the last 3 years for best charity in this county, and I believe that it comes from the fact that the three of us gentlemen, myself, Josh, and Justin, take zero salary or compensation for all of the hard work that we do. We truly believe that a nonprofit shouldn't make a profit and shouldn't put any money in their pocket. So we go with the fact that whatever comes in goes back out to helping our community. And that's what we stand for. And it's been almost 5 years since we started this, and that's how we will continue to go for the future.
What inspired you to start in the first place?
We did a fundraiser about 5 years ago, and I'd rather not say the name. And we realized when we got there and completed it, how much money didn't actually go to the actual cause. And when Josh and I started that, we said, hey, you know what? We did a great thing for what we did. We can do something on our own and make a difference. So we decided to start something on our own. And we did make an impact, and we've continued to do so throughout the years.
What are some of the fundraising events that you do, or just support events that you guys do as an organization?
So we have a schedule that we follow every year. There's so many people and so many things out there that need help and need finances and can use volunteers. So it was very tough for us to set a schedule. But what we've decided on is, and right now we're in our 5th annual autism fundraiser, which we run usually from Valentine's Day till April 30th. May and June, we do cancer fundraising. July and August is back to school. September, we collect women's jeans for battered women's shelters. October, we do towels and blankets for animal shelters. November is obviously a food drive, and December is for toys. And then in between, we do other things as well.
That's awesome. So the website is jfpartydragon.com, jfpartydragon.com. So if somebody wants to support one of those, if one of those causes inspires them or they want to support, how can they go about getting a hold of you or donating or contributing?
The best way to do it is on our social media sites, especially Instagram, JF Party Dragon, one word, obviously. You can see everything that's going on, all of our content that we are doing and posting constantly. And you can definitely reach out either there, Facebook, email, website. There's so many ways to find us and reach us, but Instagram is probably the best and easiest.
Where did the name come from?
A long, funny joke at Kane University where this all started. It was a group chat from school, and Josh had won the stuffed animal on the boardwalk, and we wanted to name it something Party Dragon. And just a long, funny conversation. One of the students there just popped off a name, and we're like, oh, we have to know the meaning of this. And it was literally an hours-long conversation where we were doing a lot of laughing, and it just stuck. It was originally Juicy Fruit Party Dragon, but as we grew and became a legal entity and got patented and trademarked, we decided not to have a head-on collision with Wrigley at some point. We figured we'll just give up the name and just go with JF.
JF Party Dragon, Thomas Nuara, thank you so much for a few minutes. We appreciate it. And again, if you guys want to support, head over to jfpartydragon.com. If you go to blueclaws.com/charities, you'll see a list of all the various community partner organizations that do such great work here at the Jersey Shore in Monmouth and Ocean counties. blueclaws.com/charities. And of course, for JF Party Dragon, it's jfpartydragon.com. Thomas, thank you so much for a few minutes. Continued success, and we look forward to seeing you at the ballpark this summer.
Oh, we will be there for sure.
Can't wait.
Thank you.
All right.
Don't forget about tonight's auction items. From the Phillies, we have an Andrew McCutchen autograph bat, a Reese Hoskins autograph ball, a Bryce Harper autograph ball, and a Joe Girardi autograph cap. Bidding is now open at the link you see here with this video or online at BlueClaws.com/charities.
Our guest here is Scott Kingery, 2015 Blue Claw, joining us from Arizona. Scott, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on here.
So what was 2020 like? Obviously a unique baseball season. You're in spring training, you go home. I know you got sick, you come back and then play jammed in 60 games in whatever it was, 70 days or so. What was that whole experience like last summer?
I mean, it was wild. Obviously, none of us have been through something like this, and for us to go to spring training thinking, we're about to get ready for 162 game season, and right towards, I think we were 2 weeks away from breaking camp and going to the season, and everything gets shut down. We get sent home. I'm here for months, not knowing whether I'm supposed to keep training or if I should rest for a little bit and then start ramping up again later. And then going back for the summer camp, which was I only had, I think, 10 days because I got sick and, missed the beginning of it and then came back and jumped right into the season. It was wild.
Was, like when you were sick, did it knock you out pretty good? How long did it take you to really get your legs back underneath you?
Yeah, I was, during the time that I was sick, it lasted a while. I was really only feeling terrible for about a day and a half. After that, it was just things like energy levels were low. I would get tired and short of breath very fast. And that lasted through the whole season. I was feeling the effects of it throughout the whole season. And I'd say just recently, about a month ago, I really, felt back to normal when I was training and doing anything physical.
Well, give the folks an idea of how the day-to-day stuff was different for you guys adhering to all the protocols, locker room, in the dugout, even BP, even the game, how did everything change for you guys last year?
The first thing was we were getting tested, every other day. And if there was even close to there's the inclusive test or a positive, no one could show up to the field. And we went through that at the beginning of the season with the Marlins when they had that big outbreak. And we just didn't show up for, a week straight. We only showed up to get tested and we had to leave. But masks were worn at all time in the clubhouse. There was no cafeteria open. We were supposed to get our food and go out and, eat 6 feet away from each other. We were supposed to spend as much time as we could outside. So we weren't supposed to see each other on the road, supposed to stay in the hotel room and not leave. So there's a lot of things that kind of are a huge part of a regular season and bonding with your teammates that really didn't really get a chance to do during the season.
You had your first experience last year with Joe Girardi. How did you like playing for him?
I love Joe Girardi. He's a fantastic manager, a great guy, and it was a lot of fun getting to know him and really figuring out, how he was going to approach our team and see the things he was going to do. And I think it's only going to get better from here.
What do you think? I know you played mostly second last year, a little center. Where do you think you're kind of going to end up position-wise in 2021?
It's always tough to tell. I usually just show up to spring training with all my gloves and they usually tell me where to go and I usually figure it out from there.
How much experience had you had before you got drafted playing elsewhere besides second base?
My freshman and sophomore years in college, I played all the outfield positions. It wasn't until my junior year that I really started playing second base. And ever since I had been drafted, it was up until I really went into the MLB that I actually started moving around. I had been second base all the way up through the minors. I had, 3 or 4 games at different positions, but it was mostly second base. And that first year I got to the big leagues in 2018 is the first time I really switched all over the field.
This might sound like a weird question because you're wearing a shirt that says no off season, but how has your off season been? Training, getting ready, staying in shape, and obviously we kind of don't know exactly how 2021 is going to look.
I mean, I've taken the same approach that I've always taken in the off season, and just trying to be ready on time. As far as I know, we're starting on time. Things could obviously change, but as far as I know, I'm heading out to Florida soon, and we're going to get things going. But just trying to get some swings, and I had a couple shoulder problems, so I've been doing some physical therapy, working my way back into stuff. So as far as hitting and throwing, I'm trying to get back into it and ramp up until I'm ready to go in spring training.
Any personal goals that you have or team goals as you head into 2021?
I mean, I think we're a really good team, and I think there's we got a lot of talent, and I think we just put it together and click at the right time. Things will go really well. But personally, for me, I just want to stay healthy throughout the whole season. And my personal goal is to put the ball in play more and strike out less. So I've been working on that, and I got some contacts and during the off season. So hopefully that helps a little bit. But yeah, things are going well, and I think it's going to be a really exciting season.
Toughest or one of the toughest pitchers that you had to face?
I mean, you can just pick anybody from the NL East. I mean, we have a tough division, but I have trouble with Noah Syndergaard, and but then you got DeGrom also on the same team, and you got Scherzer and Patrick Corbin and Strasburg in Washington, and it's I can't pick one. They're all unbelievable pitchers.
Yeah, you do have a tough division for sure.
Yeah,
and at least you don't have to face Nola.
Right. Yeah, I'm happy about that. And Zach Wheeler. I already faced Zach Wheeler a couple of times. Not a big fan of hitting off him, so I'm glad he's on our team.
What do you remember about when you played here in Lakewood? Obviously, you came straight to Lakewood from Arizona.
Yeah, it was my first stop. I went straight from University of Arizona to Lakewood, and one thing that really sticks out to me was we were playing in Lakewood, and I hit my first professional home run, and in about I hit it in maybe the third inning, and about the fourth inning, it started pouring rain, and I'm thinking, oh no, this game's going to get canceled. It's not going to be counted as a full game because we haven't gotten through the fifth inning. And I remember sitting in the dugout. Everyone else went back inside. I was sitting there just watching the rain, hoping it would stop so I could get my first professional home run counted. And I think we had maybe an hour and a half delay, and it stopped, and we got the rest of the game. And so I was extremely happy about that.
Did you get the ball?
I do have the ball. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We gave you that bobblehead. We made the bobblehead of you a couple of years ago. Do you have one? What was that? Was it cool to have your own bobblehead? Have you ever had one before?
I think there's a couple of them. The one, are you talking about the Harry Potter one?
Yeah, the wizard one.
Yeah, that one. No, that one. I have a couple of those, and they're awesome. Yeah, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so it was perfect.
Fantastic, Scott. Thank you so much for a few minutes. We appreciate it. Best of luck in 2021.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Be sure to check out our BlueClaws Charities Luxury Suite raffle. We have 300 tickets available, and 7 winners each earn a 10-game share of a 2021 BlueClaws Luxury Suite. The raffle drawing is April 5th, and you can get your tickets now at blueclaws.com/charities.
Our next guest is 2017 BlueClaws center fielder Mickey Morandini, who made his big league debut last year with the Phillies in September of 2020. Mickey joins us from San Diego. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Let's go back. So you're in spring training a year ago, last March. How did everything kind of shake out so quickly, and what was that whole experience like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, just looking back to spring training last year and just kind of the last 4 years I've been playing baseball, I never thought in a million years would there ever be a stop to a baseball season for any reason. And, I remember we were in Port Charlotte playing the Rays the day everything got shut down. And I remember that morning, the March Madness tournament got shut down. NBA games were getting canceled. And we were scheduled to play that day. We did. And everyone's, kind of looking around, what was going to happen. And we went out there, played the game, and we won, and we're going through the high five line, and over the loudspeaker, they go, spring training's canceled. Tickets are refundable. See the ticket box office, and everyone's kind of looking at each other like, what's going on? We had a meeting. They told us to hang around till, Sunday. I think that day was a Thursday. And then, the next day on Friday, they texted us all in a mass group text and said, hey, it's time to come. We have an emergency meeting today. Everyone get to the field by, I don't know, whatever time it was. And they were like, hey, so it's canceled for at least another 2 weeks. You have the option to stay here or go home. Totally up to you. And most of us chose to go home. And, I was assuming, I packed for about 2 weeks, and it was home, and it ended up being 4 months, 3 months, whatever it was. And it was crazy. But never thought it would happen, but here we are.
I know you were banged up a little bit. You ended up getting up to Lehigh eventually in the summer for the alternate site. What was that like? Obviously, you're used to playing a game every day against another organization. Now you're playing your own guys. What are the protocols they have in place, and just how weird of an experience was it because you have limited guys and you're essentially playing, inter squad for months at a time? Right.
It was different. You're playing against guys that, are your teammates, and you're facing them. It's, I wouldn't say it gets old. I think all of us were happy to be back playing baseball. And, I was just excited to go to the field every day and get in a routine and be with the guys and work with the coaching staff there. And, obviously we were getting tested every other day. Had to stay pretty isolated. A lot of, golf with the guys, not a lot of being able to go out to dinner, stuff like that. We kind of had to, if we were going to do something, it had to be safe and outdoors. And, it was different. It was crazy, but, we all adapted. And, I think, like I said, I think everyone was just excited to be playing baseball again.
You ended up getting the call to Philly in mid-September. What was it like? How did you find out that you had gotten called up?
Yeah. It was a dream come true. I always, ever since I got drafted and ever since I was a little kid, kind of just pictured the day that, that was going to happen and how it would go. And, it was pretty normal, aside from the fact that when I did get there were no fans and the friends and family couldn't be there. But, went to the field in the morning, was going to the cage for my workout or to, get loose and get ready to go. And, Andy Abad stopped me and kind of said, we were supposed to have early work that day. And he said, you were late the other day, so don't even bother showing up today. Kind of just messing with me. I was like, I remember just standing there, like, what are you talking about? Like, it's like, all right, like, okay. And went to the cage. And once I got in the cage, about to get ready to go, and Chris Truby pulled me into his office. And when I walked in there, Abad was in there. Jason Ochart, our hitting coordinator, was also in there. And you kind of have the idea of what's about to happen. And I remember it was surreal just being in there and, kind of them giving the spiel about, they're proud of me, things like that. Cause these are guys that have been there since I got drafted, and, they've helped me get to this point, and hearing it from them was awesome. And then obviously getting to call mom, dad, grandpa, girlfriend, friends, everybody was exactly how I pictured. It was surreal, and getting to share that with them was incredible. And then getting to the field was, a dream come true, getting in the clubhouse and being around the guys. And then obviously stepping out in the field with no fans was a lot different than I pictured, but obviously wouldn't trade it for the world. I got there, and I know that there's going to be plenty more days ahead where fans will be in the stands and my friends and family will get to see me play. So, it was different, but dream come true for sure.
What do you remember about your first hit?
I was searching for it for a few games, but it was, it was surreal. Just being able to get that monkey off my back and kind of just, I remember looking to our first base coach, Paco Figueroa, and just telling him, all right, it's go time. Just getting that first one out of the way was, it was a big, it was a deep breath. It was a breath of relief. And, it was incredible just seeing the guys in the dugout, excited for me, asking for the ball. And, And I was locked into the game, and I remember just peeking over, seeing everyone pretty pumped up, and kind of giving them one of these, and it was incredible. And then Rafael Marchand, he comes up right after me and hits the game tying home run, and it was like, wow, that was a cool experience. Almost, the hit was incredible. Getting being with him and having him hit that home run to tie the game, his first professional home run of his career, was. I mean, I remember it was a feeling that I don't think I'd experienced before. Just being a part of that, being on base, and I mean, it was a crazy inning for sure. Just being able to do both those things was awesome.
Who was, and you had faced a lot of big time pitchers, obviously in spring training and before that, but who was the toughest in the couple of weeks you were up there? Who was the toughest pitcher you faced?
Yeah, I mean, in the short time I was there, I would say I got to face a few guys. I got to face, Familia, Edwin Diaz, Anibal Sanchez, who's, a veteran guy that's been around and he's crafty. I think it just being up there, it was the one thing I noticed was how different every pitcher is in their own way and how crafty they are. And, how important a scouting report is and knowing what you want to do at the plate. But, I'm sure as the years go on and, the more at bats I get, there's going to be moments where I step in the box against a Clayton Kershaw or a DeGrom or one of those guys that, you watch on a daily basis and go, wow, that guy's legit. But then you got to face them. And I mean, you just got to lock it in and, get the job done, have a good at bat, whatever it may be to help the team win. And, but yeah, I mean, one of these days, I'm sure I'm going to have that feeling up there for sure.
Goals for 2021?
I mean, there's a few goals. Obviously, wherever I'm at, just, go in and day out and get better. The ultimate goal is to be on the big league squad and help them get to the playoffs and, go make a deep run into the playoffs. And, I think for me, I try to stay away from, setting expectations. I like to go in there and kind of just control what I can control and, get a good routine together, put together good at bats, work on little things, whatever it may be. And I think for me, just to go into spring training this year and improve and show that, I'm capable of doing what, the Phillies brought me here to do. And, and the rest is out of my control. And whatever team I'm on, whatever field I'm on, it's go time. And if it is Lehigh, then it's go time to work towards getting back to Philly. And if it is Philly, then it's, working to win ball games and put ourselves in a good situation to get to the playoffs.
Last question. What do you remember most about your time in Lakewood? That was obviously your first full season experience.
Yeah, I think, out of all the years, I think I grew as a man in Lakewood the most. Like you said, my first full season being away from home for 8 months of the year and, kind of just, having the highs and lows I did there and the teammates that I had were incredible and the fans, obviously, and the organization was first class. And, it was a year that I'll never forget. I definitely think it shaped me to be in the player I am today. And, without the experiences I've had there, I definitely, don't feel like I'd be where I am today. And it was a great year for me and a great learning experience and, something to kind of set the foundation for, the years to come and ultimately get into the big leagues and, being successful up there.
Mickey, we thank you for a few minutes. Continued success. Best of luck here in 2021 and stay safe out there.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Head over to BlueClaws.com/charities to bid on some clawsome auction items from our partners, including a Partier box from Monmouth Park, a $50 gift card from Beacon 70 Restaurant in Brick, season-long beach passes from the Borough of Seaside Heights, and ride passes from Jenkinson's Boardwalk and Casino Pier. Bid now at BlueClaws.com/charities. It's now time to meet another Blue Claws Charities community partner, Latison Network.
Our final featured community partner tonight on this BlueClaws Charities Virtual Hot Stove is the Lattice Network, and we're joined by Louisa Roman. She's the Director of Development and Community Relations for Lattice Network. Louisa, welcome. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Great. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Lattice Network?
Okay. Well, Lattice has been around for more than 70 years. We were formerly Cerebral Palsy of Monmouth and Ocean counties, and then adopted this name because we serve so many different types of disabilities and delays in addition to cerebral palsy. And it's a lifetime of services, which is the first part of the acronym, Lifetime Assistance for Developmental and Challenging Individual Needs. So we start, pretty much from birth with babies in the homes that we see through early intervention. We evaluate babies and toddlers for delays or disabilities, and then we provide different types of services in the home. And then starting from age 3 to 21, we have 2 schools, the Lehman School in Lakewood, right around the corner from you, and the Show School in Wanamassa, Ocean Township, where we serve children with multiple physical and developmental disabilities, and in a full school setting with, of course, education, as well as all of their therapies that they get there, kind of a one-stop shop for the kids. And then we have an array of adult services, 21 and older. We have adult day programs, we have vocational programs, we have 9 residential facilities, and we also have a childcare at our Schroth Center as well, for kids with and without disabilities. And we serve about 3,500 families a year.
How long have you been with the organization?
I just hit my 35-year milestone in the
Wow.
fall. So I've
Congratulations.
been there a long time. People say, wow, oh my God, But, here, my boss, Patty, she's been there over 40 years. So it's kind of hard to leave. It gets under your skin. And, we're doing such amazing things there. And, we've kind of grown up with the kids that we've served and who are adults, and just seen amazing things happen during that time.
How has the organization kind of changed and developed and grown over the 3 decades?
Well, first of all, it was much smaller and we had less facilities. We have 14 facilities now and serve a lot less people. But, back in the day, parents started this for their children with therapy. I mean, that's even longer than I've been there. And then really the adults were added later because as those children aged, and there's still really a lack of adult services in the community, many parents will tell you. So we added adult services, we added more residential facilities, and we added the babies because we didn't used to serve the 0 to 3-year-olds. So we've just expanded the breadth of services and the number of people, and of course the technology. It's just a totally different program.
You serve people from how far? Just the shore? You cover a lot bigger ground than just
it's
that.
Really Monmouth and Ocean. I mean, we have a handful of people from Middlesex or a couple of surrounding counties, but for the most part, we're very local. We're Monmouth and Ocean counties.
Website is latticin.org, LADACIN.org. You see it right there on your screen.
Correct.
How can folks interested in supporting or getting more information, how can they support Lattice Network?
Well, if you go to our website, we're always listing whatever our upcoming events are. Coming up next in May is actually our golf classic at Jumping Brook, and BlueClaws are supporters of that. Jim's on our committee for that. And we're almost sold out, believe it or not, 2 months ahead of time of golfers. I think everybody's dying to get out of their house at this point. But we are taking sponsorships, and we are really in need of auction items for that event. So we always need that. On the heels of that is our Rosebud Gala, which is our 40th anniversary. I'm not sure the format yet, but we are planning to do something at the end of July. It's been canceled too many times, and whatever it is, we'll be doing something to honor our guests at the end of July. And it may be some kind of an outdoor event, smaller event at the Sheraton. But whatever it is, we'll be taking sponsorships. We'll be doing a virtual auction. We'll be doing an ad journal. So there's many ways that you can support us. Normally, I'd be telling you can volunteer, but right now there's no on-site volunteers. But once, hopefully, God willing, things change, we take on-site volunteers, we take projects. And right now we are taking volunteers for our committees as well. They're all virtual.
So again, you head over to latticin.org, and then for the events on the nav bar on the top there, you'll see it. Click on there and and you can help out. They're a tremendous organization. And Louisa, thank you so much for a few minutes. Best of luck. Congratulations on 3.5 decades. That's amazing. And, keep up the great work.
All right. Thank you so much, Greg.
BlueClaws Charities is proud to support these incredible community partner organizations through an end-of-year grant program. Money raised from events like this contribute to those grants, and all money goes directly to programs here at the Jersey Shore. Your support is greatly appreciated. For more information on these amazing local organizations, please visit blueclaws.com/charities. Once again, that's blueclaws.com/charities.
Our next guest on this Blue Claws Charities virtual hot stove dinner, former Philly and, of course, former Blue Claws manager, Mickey Morandini. Mickey joining us from Pennsylvania. How are you? Good to see you.
Doing good. I'm doing the best I can. I'm tired of the snow. I know that.
Yeah, as we tape this, the field is covered in snow. Hopefully it'll melt, and then we'll get some baseball out here pretty soon. How's everything going? Staying safe, I hope?
Yeah, everything's been good. I mean, I'm doing as much as I can. Obviously, things are starting to look up, and hopefully we get back to some normalcy here in the next few months. But, as team ambassador for the Phillies, I'm usually out there doing all kind of public appearances and meeting fans and sponsors and things like that. And obviously that's been kind of put on hold, and been doing a lot of Zoom calls. So I'm kind of used to this.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, minor league baseball looks a lot different now. What do you remember about playing in minor league baseball? We'll start there.
Well, I know playing, it was obviously that was over 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Actually 30 years ago now that I think about it. It's a long time ago, but it's changed tremendously, obviously. But back then, there wasn't a tremendous amount of fanfare. The travel wasn't good. It's starting to get a little better now. But I just remember going through the grind and just trying to do the best I could. And I had some great coaching back in the day, and I was fortunate enough to move up fairly quickly and get to the big leagues.
What do you remember about Spartanburg? First time you get drafted, go to Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Yeah, kind of middle of nowhere. I know we didn't get any fans there, that's for sure. It was down deep in that gully there. Not a lot of fans. Very hot, obviously. But our manager was Mel Roberts, who was a great guy. He made it easy for us. Worked our butts off. But I was only there for about 2.5 months. Fortunately, but I do remember the travel was bad and it was really hot. I know that.
So that was in '89. You made your big league debut a year later, so you had a pretty quick rise. How did they tell you? I always love these stories. How did they tell you when you were in Scranton that you were getting called up?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good story now. It was about 3 days before September call-ups, and our season was about ready to end. And the rumors floating around was that I was not going to get called up. And I was preparing to go home in a few days, and we're taking batting practice. And after batting practice, it was a home game. I went into the clubhouse, and Bill Dancy, our manager, called me in his office. And I'm like, what's he calling me in his office for, And he said, sit down. And obviously you start to get a little nervous. And he goes, the Phillies just traded Tommy Herr. He goes, you're going to the big leagues. They have a doubleheader tonight, and you're starting the second game. So I went from going home to, I'm starting in a big league game. So I gather everything up, drive to Philly. The first game had already been underway. I get to pinch hit in the 8th inning, have a good at bat. I end up lining out to Freddie Lynn in left field against the Padres. Game goes extra innings. I get a second at bat against Greg Harris, get a base hit. Next guy bunts me over, and John Kruk singles me home, and I end up scoring the winning run in my first big league game. So it was a pretty good story.
When did the Harry Kalas drawn out pronunciation, which I'm not going to attempt, when did that start?
I'm not sure exactly when it started, but I know when it started, it caught on pretty quickly. And people today, no matter where I see them here in Philadelphia, always come up to me and they try and say my name like Harry Kalas. It's going to stick forever. They love it. I know when there's trivia questions and things on the internet, who does Harry Kalas say the best name? I'm always on the top of the list. So it's kind of put me on the map.
I assume you get asked more about that than like the unassisted triple play.
Oh, no question. Harry saying my name is by far the biggest thing that people ask me and do to me. Yeah, absolutely.
What do you remember about the unassisted triple play against Pittsburgh?
Well, I remember like it was yesterday. I'm in front of my hometown family and friends. Pirates were really good. That's that stretch where they had Bonds, Bonilla, Van Slyke, Drabek, that crew where they were winning every year. And Schilling's on the mound. We're in a tie ball game in the 6th or 7th inning. Guys at first and second. Now, normally you don't send the runners in that situation because you want to stay out of a line drive situation. But Leland sent them, and Jeff King hit a line drive. I dove for, took 2 steps, tramped on second, went to throw to first. Barry Bonds was standing right there and tagged him. I mean, the whole play lasted 5 seconds, but at the time didn't know the importance of it really. And then after the game, the reporters told me I was the first second baseman to do it in the regular season and the 9th person to ever do it. So it was obviously pretty awesome.
The 93 team, obviously, that was probably the best team you played on. What do you remember most about that magical run? Obviously, came just a little short, but had a spectacular year.
Yeah, I mean, nobody picked us to do anything. Every major publication had us coming in last because the year before we stunk. We were awful. We came in last place. And then, we went out and signed a handful of really good veteran players, the Inkies, the Milt Thompsons, the Duncans, the Danny Jacksons, those types of players. And we got off to a hot start. Fans started coming out to the ballpark and it just kind of took off. And we had a number of guys have career years, and that's what you need to win a championship. And, it was just a grind it out, know how to play the game the right way type of team, and won us a lot of ball games.
And got embraced by a city that kind of thrives off that exact type of team.
Absolutely. And I still think today that's one of the most beloved Philadelphia Philly teams. Even though 80 won the championship and 08 won the championship, I still think the 93 team is one of the most beloved teams in Philadelphia.
So you come to spring training that year, obviously off of a disappointing 92 season. At what point, was it in the spring? Was it in May? At what point did you think like, hey, we got something that might be pretty good here?
Well, there was an incident in spring training where Donovan Osborne hit a couple of our guys, and one of them was Dave Hollins, and you don't do that. And Dave went up to Tommy Green, who was pitching that day, and said, you better take care of it. So Tommy went out the next inning, and it just so happened Donovan Osborne was leading off, and Tommy drilled him good right in the ribs. And then Osborne went back out and threw up and in and hit Ricky Jordan real high, and benches cleared, and we got into a big brawl. And that's kind of when we started to form that bond in the middle of spring training. Now, how good we knew we were going to be, I think when we got to May and we were in first place and had a great 1-loss record and everybody was healthy, and the fans, we started to get 40, 45, 50,000 fans in that ballpark. That's when we really started to say, hey, we got something that's pretty good right here.
2020 is, well, what's supposed to be. 2021 is an Olympic year. You played in the Olympics in 88. I remember when you managed here, we talked about it. What was that experience like? How did it come about? Did you have to try out? Did they pick you? Did it select you? How did the Olympics come about?
Yeah, the year before in 87, I got picked to go play in the Intercontinental Cup in Cuba. A group of us went down and played in a little tournament down there, and Mark Marquis, who was the Olympic coach, was the coach at that event, and I played really well. I led the team in hitting in several categories, and I got the invite to go to the Olympic tryout from that the following year, and they brought down about 50, 60 players to Millington, Tennessee, which was the base for Olympic baseball. Fortunate enough to make the team. They kept 20 players. And, I was a shortstop in college, but I ended up playing the outfield for the Olympic team because they already had a All-American shortstop there. So played some outfield, and we toured the whole United States, played in a lot of minor league ballparks, went to Japan, went to Italy, and ended up in Seoul, Korea for the Olympics. And the only bad part about it was Cuba wasn't in the Olympics. They had boycotted that year, and they were the cream of the crop back then in international baseball. But, we beat Japan and Canada and Koreas and all those teams and ended up winning the gold medal. It was just amazing.
And there were a lot of big leaguers on that team.
I bet over half the team ended up making it to the big league. We got Andy Benes, Tino Martinez, Robin Ventura, Joe Cesarsky, Charles Nagy. I mean, there was Ed Sprague, Scott Service. I mean, there was a whole bunch of players that ended up having pretty good careers in the big leagues.
Do you still have the medal?
I do have the gold medal. It's sometimes I put it out. Sometimes I don't trust a lot of people that it's going to come up missing, but I do have it here and put it out occasionally. When I do a lot of speaking engagements, go to schools and things like hospitals, things like that, I will take it with me, and the kids get a kick out of seeing a real live gold medal. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can imagine that is pretty cool. Got a few more minutes here. You were managed in the Philly system for a few years, coached for a few years, and managed here with the BlueClaws in 2012 and 2013. We were joking before we started recording about the travel that you had. That will get a little bit better starting now. But what do you remember most about managing with the BlueClaws?
I mean, the travel was a big part of it. I mean, when you're playing a night game and then you're busing overnight to go to Georgia. It's not easy for those kids. It's a tough life. They don't get paid a lot in the minor leagues. They have to buy everything on their own. And the bus travel is just brutal. And now, like you said, it's changed a little bit. Obviously, they've cut back on some minor league teams, and the travel's starting to get better. I think Major League Baseball is starting to realize that. But the stadium was awesome. The fans were awesome. You and all the people that worked there were awesome. I mean, had a lot of great relationships there. The only bad part, when I was coaching in the minors, our minor league system was really bad at the time. We didn't have a whole lot of talent. And the 2 years I coached there, I think we came in last both years and didn't win a lot of ball games. But, I had Greg Legg there with me, my old buddy who I played with in the minor leagues. And we enjoyed it. I really had a fun time playing there or coaching there.
The life of a minor league manager. Tell the folks, because they might not know, what are all the different things that you have to manage and deal with? 25 guys. Obviously, some of them are still learning the English language. You got, pitchers, catchers. Some are 18 years old, some are 24 years old. Give us an idea of everything that the minor league manager deals with.
I mean, you have to have a good staff with you. We have one pitching coach, we have one hitting coach, and maybe once in a while they'll send another coach with you. It depends. But, you don't have a lot of coaches there to deal with all these players. And as you said, you have 25 different players, 30 different players, all different from all different parts of the country, speaking all different languages, different ages. You really have to learn each individual player and person and teach them individually, because some guys you can yell at and they can take it. Other guys you can yell at and they crumble. I mean, coaching in the minor leagues is not easy. The travel's hard. I mean, you're usually at the ballpark at noon, figuring out the lineup, figuring who's healthy, who's not healthy, how you want your rotation to work that day. And then after the game, you got to file all the reports on the game. So it gets really long days and long. You don't have a lot of off days, a couple a month usually. So it's a grind, that's for sure.
Do you miss those? I know you coached in Lehigh for a few years. Do you miss those 3 a.m. wake up calls to go to the airport to fly to Charlotte to play that night?
I don't miss the travel, that's for sure, no matter what league I was in. And AA travel was pretty good. You didn't have a lot of long trips. And really AAA wasn't horrible because you did get to fly to some of the cities that were farther away. But I just miss, watching the players. Like I coached Maikel Franco.
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole way up. And I really enjoyed watching him get better and better and better and better and have a chance to have some success in the big leagues. That's what I really enjoyed, is watching these guys get better, work hard. And I miss that. I miss the competing and watching these guys improve.
I remember that year you had the 2012, you had Franco, and then you had Kelly Dugan, and they both got off the slow starts, and they relatively. And then both of them in the second half, especially Franco and Dugan, maybe the last 6 weeks, were just unbelievable. I think Franco probably hit about 340 in the second half, and Dugan must have hit about 400 the last month or so.
Yeah, those guys, especially Franco, was always a first half player that did not perform up to his capabilities. And the second half, he was the best player in the league every time I coached him. I don't know if it was the cold weather in April and part of May that got him off to that slow start. But yeah, in the second half, when I coached him, really throughout the entire minor leagues, he was one of the best players in the league.
To close us out on what is a very sad note, you managed the next year, 2013, Chase Numata, who played here, just an unbelievable kid, and he tragically passed away on Labor Day of 2019. What do you remember most about Chase?
Yeah, Chase was a great kid. A great teammate, would do anything for his teammates. A hard worker, fun to be around. Now, when I coached him, he was going through a lot of injuries. He had some injuries and wasn't playing a lot for me. But I always joked around with him because he lived in Hawaii that I needed an invite, to go out there and spend, in the off season, a couple months with him. And he goes, yeah, absolutely. But it was sad to hear his passing. And, he was a surfer kind of guy that really enjoyed life. And it was obviously we lost him way, way, way too early.
I remember how excited he was that he got to catch Roy Halladay in that rehab game in 2013.
Yeah, he was fun. He was fun to be around, and he wasn't an everyday catcher for me. But like I said, he worked hard. He did whatever you needed him to do, and he really enjoyed life. It was really sad to hear that.
Mickey, this was awesome. Thank you for a few minutes. We'll be in touch. We'll do this again sometime. Hopefully, get to see you at a game this summer.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us for tonight's BlueClaws Charities virtual hot stove. Auction items are still open, so head over to BlueClaws.com/charities to bid. We'll see you on May 4th for opening night at the Jersey Shore.